The White House says that Israel has agreed to a 4-hour military pauses in Northern Gaza each day, and this, when implemented, allows civilians to flee the besieged strip and facilitate movement of much-needed aid trucks. U.S. President Joe Biden has welcomed the pauses, calling it a step in the right direction, but said there's no scope of a formal ceasefire yet.
Did you ask for a 3-day pause to Netanyahu?
You know, I've been asking for a pause for a lot more than 3 days. Yes.
Did you ask him to pause for 3 days to get the hostages out for that?
Yes. I've asked for even a longer pause for some of them.
Now, detailing the pauses, National Security spokesperson John Kirby said that there will be 2 humanitarian corridors for people fleeing Northern Gaza. The agreement was later detailed by the State Department.
Just a couple things here at the top. I think she answered.
There will be 2 humanitarian corridors allowing people to flee the areas of hostilities in the northern part of Gaza. The first such corridor, open between 4 and 5 hours every day for the past few days, has already enabled many thousands of people to reach safer areas. The second route along the coastal road will enable many more thousands to reach safer areas in the south. And of course, we are continuing to work closely with our Israeli partners to address and remain vigilant about efforts from Hamas to discourage and prevent civilians from fleeing this area.
Now, the Israeli military have said that there have been tactical local pauses for humanitarian aid for Gazan civilians, while reiterating their position on no ceasefire, despite growing calls from around the world. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also addressed the pause while speaking to an American broadcaster, and he said there will be pauses in specific areas of Gaza for the coming days. Hamas, meanwhile, has said that it is ready to release 2 Israeli hostages on medical grounds. The hostages are a woman and a boy. IDF officials have also reacted to a recent hostage video released by Hamas, and they said it's a sign of life, but also accused Hamas of psychological terror. Now, a horrific deja vu is at play in Gaza, where thousands are seen leaving the northern part of the strip for the south, and this is being equated to the Nakba that happened 75 years ago, where hundreds and thousands of Palestinians were forced out of their land. More than 10,500 people have been killed in the Gaza Strip since the 7th of October, and over 20,000 people have been injured and more than 1 million displaced. 1/3 of the region has been turned to rubble. For more on this, our correspondent Susan Teherani sent us this report from New York. Listen in.
Facing mounting pressure from his own party here at home and allies abroad, U.S. President Joe Biden seems to have convinced Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to agree for a short-term temporary humanitarian pause for Israel's operations in Gaza. This, as we also learned on Thursday, that CIA and Mossad officials met with Qatari officials in Doha about the possibility to release some hostages from Hamas captivity. More than 1 or 2, the number was around 10 to 30. We'll have to see how that develops. But Israel, on the one hand, is concerned that any pause or even talk of a ceasefire would play into Hamas's hands. It also understands that that window of opportunity for support for Israel's operations in Gaza is growing smaller and smaller. And the longer this operation takes, the less support Israel may have, not among its own public, but from the international community, notably, once again, Democrats here in the United States as well. For the Biden administration, how successful this balancing act that it's trying to carry out will be ultimately is something that we'll have to wait and see. Susan Teherani reporting from New York for WION World is One.